Hello and welcome once again. We're here. I'm Yvonne Gamble, co founder of Women Leading Change Now, and we're here with the United Nations Conference on the Status of Women. This is our 65th year that we're actually talking about the status of women. So much has happened in 2020, and we have convened several women in the United States and throughout the world to talk about some of those issues and how they relate to them. Our guest is coming to you now, Dr. Daisy D. Jones, and as we so lovingly love to call her here in Atlanta, she's going to be coming and talking to us about women in advocacy, women's voices in advocacy. And most certainly, that's what makes the difference, and that's what pushes the envelope forward. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring her on and let her tell you a little bit about herself and what she does and why she does it. And then we'll get into some of the different issues that we want to talk about today. So Dr. D, thank you so much for joining us. It's so lovely to see you, and we appreciate you coming to us from Atlanta, Georgia in the United States. And before you get started, I just want to give a congratulations to Georgians, to yourself for the advocacy that you did, and to all of Georgia for what you just did in the United States. You didn't do it just for the United States when you brought on the two senators after the election was won and brought the people back to the polls, but just the fact that you basically brought the house down. So congratulations for all your hard work that you've done and that all the organizations that you represent do. So with that, I'm going to let Dr. D have the floor and tell us a little bit about women's voices in advocacy.
Thank you so much there, Queen Yvonne, for inviting me and being a part of the force. Because you know what? The one thing you do your part. You make sure that whatever it needs to be done, you grab the mantle and you take care of business. And I am so elated that I was really blessed to meet you and become a part of what you're doing, because we will not ever be able to do this alone. When it's time to fight the good fight, you gotta fight it with what? An army. And really, it's an army, not M-E me, but an army, meaning arm in arm of people together, pulling forces and making sure that this world is a better place. And I mean, that's why you were born, to me, because when I realized what my purpose was in life, and you really gotta ask and have some quiet time with that real self and ask, what is it that I'm supposed to do? So the call to me, when I asked the question and was willing to receive the answer, it said, go out into the world and help all of those that are willing and wanting to be helped. So it's not you can't think you're going to save the world, because you're not. So we can only do what it is that we are given instruction within our own minds and hearts. Because when you say advocate, you're right. Matter of fact, I don't know if this is going to fit the subject or not, but when you talk about advocacy and doing things, I was earlier today out running errands, and I was called or admonished to stop and talk to a man that was sitting outside of an establishment saying he was homeless. And I thought I was doing my thing, and actually we have to listen to the spirit when it tells us to do things, because that is who you are, right?
Right.
And I walked past him, got in my car, and it said, go back and talk to him. I was like, no, I'm in a hurry. I got to get home. I got something to do. And I went to sit in my car. Instead of sitting down, I closed the door and I went and talked to him. And when you're talking about advocacy, this is what we do. I don't know if I was going to change it, but I was supposed to say something to him, so I did. And then when I got done doing what I was told to do, because remember, we're advocating for people. First of all, you got to get your mind right. And that's what I'm called to do, to help people get your mind right, because only you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Only you can take care of getting your mind right, because your mind is only in you. So that's what motivates me, because I can't say, stick. All I'm looking at is the individual. You know what I'm saying? Two things, and that's it. Did that answer your question?
Yes, you touched on it. I want to go a little bit deeper with that, because we have what we always have. We have eyes on us. Just like I look up to you, and I look up to the work that you do and how you do it, and hope that I can at least do my work half as well. And there are younger people out there. There are young girls, young women who are looking out there, and they're saying, I want to be an advocate. I want to be a voice. I want to be that voice, for others. And how then do I do it? So you're saying is that, get your mind right, study, know what you're going to do, and know the issues that you're going to follow. Mm-hmm. How do you kind of get into that industry? I guess that kind of more or less gets to us from actually that the next area we were looking at, and is access. How do you get into the area of advocacy? How did you get into the fact that organizations to accept you in to be an advocate? Or is that the way you do it, or you do it independently? How is that done?
Well, actually, I do it through a media production company with my family, my children. We started a production company called it's called EY Productions, and EY is actually Express Yourself, because we did a show that we had on Comcast for about 5 years called Express Yourself. And it's to help people understand and realize who you are and express yourself. But express yourself for the good that you are. Focus on expressing the good you. Because people always say, well, that's just the way I am. You know what I'm saying? I just say what I want and da-da-da-da-da. But there comes a time when you have to do it for the right reasons. And make sure that whatever you're doing it for the right reasons. So when we started in the media industry and the television and all of that, I had to fund it. We funded it out of our own pockets. Why? Because I wasn't going to wait for someone to give it to me. You understand what I'm saying? I use resources that I knew, and of course, here again, asking for direction within my own spirit. Lord, what is it I'm supposed to? How am I going to do this? Okay, I'm supposed to do it. Well, and then you just know. You take the funds. What is it? What is it in your hand, right? So you take what's in your hand, and you put the knowledge that you get when you ask, what is it that I'm supposed to do? Then somebody got to give me the tools to do it. It's just like when you go get a job. If you go to get a job, right, you're going to expect them there to give you what? The tools to do your job. Right. So you know, when you say, how did you enter into it? I entered it out of my own pocket, using my own resources and doing it for me. I did not sit back and just use that excuse. Well, would nobody support the show? Would nobody give us a studio? We made our own studio. We found resources and places that we could do studio. We did. We went to houses, custom. When I had a guest and they had a house and it was nice, we went to their house and shot.
Oh, okay. So what is in your hand?
You do that. What's in your hand? And you ask the question, how easy Is the access in
Mhm.
that? I'm not going to say that it's easy because it's not. But you got to have determination in order to get it done. Because usually something that's easy is not really, it's not the gem. Gems are not easy to get. Diamonds and rubies and all of that. Those are not things you can just go out in the backyard and dig up, boom, there it is. Gold is not something to just grow in the backyard. You know what I mean? Even flowers, in order for flowers to grow, there's a process that they have to go through in order to grow. So I wouldn't say that it's easy, but it's doable. Because if everything was easy, there would not be a word such as strength.
Oh, okay. Well, you're gonna have to explain that a little bit. You can't just throw that. You can't just throw that gauntlet on the table and leave it there. So it's okay. You're
Well,
gonna
I
have.
tell you, well, actually, when you say that, in process and doing things and finding ways, I'm in the process of finally penning and getting my first book out, which is a book of instructions for a workbook for a person for themselves. The book is called Life Decisions, and explanations of meanings of words, because words have meaning. So yeah, when you really think about it, when you throw the term easy, um, easy is just a stair step to strength.
Okay. That's what gets you there. So you make it easy. So you take all those steps that are hard and you just get stronger with them and it
Yes,
becomes easy. I
yes.
see. Easy is not where we start. And I love that. It is easy is where it ends. The strength that you have within you, and you have to build on that strength and develop that strength. And as Dr. D has said, you build an army, and that's those arms locked together.
Hmm.
So I want the women and the young women to understand and get this in your spirits that
Hmm.
this work that we do, this is not easy work. We do it because we love it. We do it because we're compelled to do it. We do it because it's necessary work. And that's why Dr. D does the work that she does and continues. And that's where the compassion comes from to do this type of work. And with what's in your hand, that's what you do this work with. That's going to take us to our elephant in the room. 2020 roared in here. And it came in with a bang. When we thought about the roaring 20s, we really understand now what it means when they say the roaring 20s. Because I mean, it was loud. It was not quiet. I might have been a microorganism, but you're gonna hear me. I am here and I'm here to stay.
Right.
So on advocacy is sometimes that voice in the dark, that voice out of the dark. Will this pandemic push women's issues back, or will it bring a louder voice to them? What do you see this pandemic as, having done or doing as we move forward for women's voices and advocacy?
Actually, it has it has taken the easy out and put the strength in, because during this pandemic, and you're so right, Queen Yvonne, it was the roaring 20s. 2020, it was the roaring 20s, because it was 2020, right? At this time, we have to understand that the impact of the pandemic was almost like a double dose of fertilizer and water being spread on the garden to actually, to a certain degree, get rid of all of those infirmities and those things that were killing the garden. And you wonder, well, how? Why would all of this is supposed to be killing people? Because it was killing the dependency on other people. Why? Because you couldn't even go out the house. You couldn't have people all in your face. You had to spend time on your own. So it was killing the dependency. Now you had to what? Depend on you. You couldn't, you know what I'm saying? It made you spend some time with nobody but you. Right? So you had nobody that you could look to physically and get any kind of help from. So you had to be on your own. You had to realize, what is it that you're going to do within this by yourself? I mean, it was a strengthener. And when it talks about economic growth, it really did help. I mean, really, if you looked at it, it helped you financially. Why? Because you couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
you couldn't go to the club to spend your money. You couldn't go shopping to spend your money. You couldn't be just riding around to everybody's house burning up your gas. You didn't have to put clothes in the cleaners because you kept on changing them. So it was really helping you get a handle on your finances, and also let you know, look what you live without.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Look what you live without. And even all that makeup and all of that stuff, you got used to looking at yourself, but you should have been spending the time to make yourself look good without the makeup on. So to me, it helped, because even within that time, we couldn't go shoot shows. We couldn't even go do one-on-ones, which we kind of focus on anyway. But it put me in a position to finish my book.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I didn't have to be in anybody's face to finish my book. The editor, everything is done electronically. Boom, bam, sending it back and forth. And I had plenty of time. There wasn't anything on television to watch, except for them scaring you with their fear tactics, because that's all you saw. You think you were getting ready to watch a show, and then breaking news, pandemic, 30,000 people died. I mean, what? So then you're going to turn the television off if you had any kind of sense, and work on something that will take your mind away from that. So that gave me the opportunity to finish a project that I had sitting in my computer for almost 10 years.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize you had been working on it that long. I thought that was something that, maybe you had only commissioned in that the last year, maybe 2 years.
Oh, no. So it's been sitting in my computer, and my daughter would say, "Mama, when are you going?" As a matter of fact, there's another 2 more books sitting in there, a cookbook and another book. And so I said, okay, let me do Life's Decisions, since it was, but no, that was 10 years. So it helped me finish something that I had in the hopper for myself for 10 years.
Wow. And it just, it's interesting. I can only imagine that, just as yourself, there were probably many other people who were sitting in that same boat, in that same situation, where they, brought something out and they published it and they let it go and they put it out there and said, it's, this is, I guess, imminence. It almost brought, the one thing I can say about the pandemic brought the word imminence into prominence in 2020. simply because it became very apparent that
Mm-hmm.
we do live with an imminent time. We live with a finite time, and that our mortality was more or less brought to light. We know that it's here. We won't live forever, but many times the way we act and do things as though forever is going to go on forever. And it's like, no, forever will go on, but you won't be here forever. So whatever
Right,
you're going to do, you need
yes, yes, yes. As a
you need
matter of fact, look, you know what? Like, it's kind of on the morbid side, but
yeah,
then again, when you look at the mind of people, just imagine. I mean, to me, the realization when you talk about not being here forever, it was very, very, it was very eye opening. Why? Because now they're sitting here telling us that in a week's time, just from one thing, 30, 40, 50,000 people
yeah.
have died. So they kept ramming that into you about dying, dying, dying. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, just imagine how many people really do die, though. Because that if 50,000 people died from that one thing, how many people have checked out of this world and never reached their full potential?
Yeah.
So it make you look, oh no, I don't want that to be me. No, let me get to moving here, because I want to leave a legacy of something. I want my life to have counted. So really, while they're cramming it into your heads about how many people died of that one thing, just how many people died, period. It really makes you take a good look at your own life. At least it did for me.
I see. I can understand. I think we all took a good hard look at it, just to see where we were going and what we were going to do with that. And I'd like to kind of wrap us up here on a note that we hear, at the United Nations Women, that the reason for the convening on the status of women, this was one of the issues that we kind of were bounded on, and that was the one of equality. And that's always at the forefront, most certainly today, even though we are, our premise is on goal 8 and aligning, our financial goals, in the pandemic and beyond, and our advocacy. In the world of advocacy, how does women's equality fit into this particular industry? When you're out there and you're advocating, are you finding it, say, year over year? Is it making it easier for you to advocate, for issues that affect women, or is it harder? What would you say, that is kind of shaping up to be, or has shaped up to be?
Wow, that is one awesome question. Actually, I mean, I'm listening to that question, right? And that is a profound question that every woman really needs to ask herself. And the reason I say that is because when it comes to humanity, there's only two genders when it comes to humanity. You got the male and the female, right? In order to make humanity function, you have to have the coming together of both male and female. Now, when I look at that question and I think, how does women's equality fit? Women's equality fits as well as it fits to create human beings. It's like you can't have human nature, human beings, without women. So to me, when it comes to the industry still cannot function unless it's the women coming into that arena and doing their part. Where the problem is that it's like in childbirthing. When you are assigned and become the carrier of another life, you just got to be there. You got to do your part. You got to be strong. You got to take care of it. You got to represent, and man cannot take that from you. So for me, is we have got to do our part, and men have got to recognize that you can't do this without us. It's just as foolish as thinking that you can make human beings without us. And that's never going to happen. So women have to not, one thing that I really, that makes me cringe when it comes to and equality, when you get to the term equality, that saying that they always said that if you don't give you a seat at the table, pull up a folding chair. I don't agree with that, because have you ever been at a formal table? Everybody's got the same size chairs, and then you pull up a folding chair and you pop that fold and you sit there. I don't care if you're at the table, you still don't fit. So to me, it's we, as they're doing now in the industry, women are becoming producers, directors, and doing their own thing and producing and standing up and not pulling up a folding chair, but making their own table.
I'm for that.
And not worrying about a folding chair. It's like when we were in the industry. It's like when we were, when we're in television, right? And we would go to different sponsors and even networks and things. They didn't want us to be on because they said it wasn't enough drama. It was all positive. You got to have some. They said, well, we need some devil's advocate and all of this kind of noise, right? And I'm like, never mind. Nope, never mind. We'll just stay on Community and just do what we do, because I'm not going to bring you drama. That's not what comes out of this vessel. You know what I mean? So if you're saying you'll only pay for production and sponsorship, if we got people calling each other names and pulling their hair out and talking about this, that, and the other that happened to them so bad, no, never mind. So this is where we as women, we can't just do anything, because all money is not good money. And if we don't stand up and show our own strength, then we'll always be subservient. But the thing is, when you're pregnant, a man is not going to come to you and tell you how he going to tell you how to be pregnant. How's he going to tell you how to birth a baby? He never had one. So in order to be equal, then we have to do what we need to do in order to be equal in the production of what we're doing. And as women, then let's just support each other, because the money coming from a woman is as green as it is coming from a man.
That's right.
So why don't enough women come together and support it and just keep it moving? Shonda Rhimes does it. Oprah does it. You see what I'm saying?
I understand.
So the equality is just do your part.
Do your part.
Don't get me started. I know.
No, I love that. I love it, because you are truly an advocate for women's voices. I want you, before you go, I do want you to share with where we can actually contact you at and where we can actually see you. And, tell us a little bit more about your Globally You that you're bringing out, more into the forefront now. That was
Globally You, right?
Productions.
Yes, Globally You is based for individuals, entrepreneurs, and personal growth. A lot of times, people, even though they're of a mature age, they haven't matured in who they are. So through Globally You, we help people get to know who you are and what you're supposed to do, because everybody has got at least one something that they're supposed to do in order to make this world a better place. And it's globally U, letter U, it stands for universal, unity, understanding who you are. Globally is because you are global. Once you leave that house, you have gone global. Why? Because you have left your place of residency and you're moving about in the world. So at Globally You, we're here to help people become a better them. And then if they have entrepreneurial skills in them, which you all do too, anyway, one something, we help them develop it, find it, and flourish in it so that they can just be the awesome person that they're born to be. Because nobody was born to be a bum. No one was born to do nothing. No one was born to call themselves nothing, but they choose to
They
do it.
choose to, yes.
That's a life decision.
Mm.
And you
That's
can contact us. We have Globally You Facebook. We have Express Yourself. And there's me, Dr. D. You can find me on Facebook as well. Also, there's if they want to go to YouTube, that we have things posted on YouTube from Express Yourself TV show. You got to do the whole thing, Express Yourself TV show. And they'll see clips of shows that we've had over the years. The shows are old, but the thoughts are still relevant if you've never heard them before. You understand what I'm saying?
got it.
Ideas, thoughts, words never get too old. So it's what's on there. It's not the age of when it was, shot or published. It's what's
Mhm.
being said,
What's being said. Yeah, and
right?
then there, yeah, there you're absolutely right with that, Dr. D. Is that there's always something that you can actually garner from that. Is just like reading some of the books that you read and what have you, and every time when you pick it up and you read it, you find something else. And the reason for that is because you're at a different point in your life. You're at a different
Mm-hmm.
point, in maybe a situation that's happening to you, and so therefore you can go back to, like she said, some of those shows and see something on there and hear something that you didn't hear before. So you definitely want to take a look at the Globally You on Facebook. Go out to YouTube and take a look at some of the Express Yourself TV shows, and you will find some very great information in there. So we want to thank Dr. D for being here and for being out there on the forefront and staying in the trenches and fighting the good fight that she's out there doing and being that woman's voice in advocacy. Dr. D, did you have any last parting words or thoughts that you wanted to leave our audience with, just to, kind of remind them of this advocacy, of this topic?
Well, thank you so much for here again asking me to come and participate. Whenever you're there, Yvonne, I'm in. You're the queen when it comes to having that platform and making sure that if you want to, I've got a place for you. And yeah, my closing words is words have meaning. Words never get old. And also to know that as long as you're breathing, you have been given the authority, you have given all rights and privileges to be the best you that you can be. And if you don't think you can, all you have to do is ask. And when I say ask, I mean there's an inner spirit within you that all you have to do is just ask. Look into your own eyes in a mirror and ask the question from within yourself, what is it that I'm supposed to do? Because your living is certainly not designed to be in vain. You'll get an answer. Then it's up to you to make the decision to act upon it or let it lay dormant within you. And then you continue to muddle through life, and that tells yourself you want to be miserable, because that is something you do not have to be. That is not a condition that you are born to be in. But if you allow yourself to be there, then you're going to be there. So count up the cost on how valuable you are to yourself, not anybody else. Because the breath that you breathe, it only belongs to you. And how much is that worth?